students. So today we'll learn about the type of data members and type of member functions defined inside the class. So let us see how the members inside a class, let us collectively call them as members. The members of the class are defined as in two categories. The first member is called as, basically we call members as we are talking about data as well as functions together. There are two types of members. One type of members are called as class members, and another type is called as instance members. A class member is basically a static, as you can relate this with a static keyword given against main. As the main is static, we can say that it's a class member. So it can be called with reference to the class. All instance variables, they are non-static. Non-static means they exist with reference to the objects. Until or unless we are having an object, you cannot call them. So all these instance members may be like your data members and your member functions. Both can be called with reference to this object. So you need to create an object before you can process any instance member which is non-static. So like you are having a class like this. In case I define a member here, I write it like integer a. So if you define a member like this, because it has no keyword as static, it will automatically become an instance member. And suppose if I define a variable static string name. So this now variable name, which is of the string type, is defined as static. So I can always print them with reference to the class, like one.name. As I told you that this dot operator is a member access operator. So you can always access any member with reference to the class or object. So it is a member access operator. So let me first define you an experiment with a static variable. How to access a static variable with reference to a class. Let us move on to the experiment. Suppose I define a variable here as string, and the name of the variable is name. So if it is name, let me actually say it as static. So once it is defined as static, it roles changes. So I'll show you in this video how a variable's functionality changes once I define it as static as well as once I remove it as static. So if this variable is static, now the first thing that is made mandatory for this variable is that it can be accessed within a static function only. So now inside, because main is static, so it can access this main. Now how can I? Suppose I want to say System.out.println, and I want to print the value of name. So how can I access this name? So because this name is static, so it can always be accessed with reference to the class. So I can write like one.name. But you will always question which value it will print, because there is no value that is attached. So can I assign a value? Now if I assign it right here, is it allowed? So let me give it like 1. Let me assign a value 1, and now I'm trying to access this value through this main function, which is static, through this System.out.println. how this name is accessed? It is accessed with reference to the class name. So if this functionality is complete, let us see whether it shows you a value or not. Let me go back to the command prompt. Let us clear everything. Compile the program. Let me run it. Once you run, you see the output is 1. That means it is able to access the value that is assigned to a static variable. So now that you must have seen, it is complete one. But I can also show you another way of accessing this static variable. As I said, every static variable can be accessed with reference to the class name. But there is another rule also true, that they can also be accessed with reference to the objects too. So let me create an object of this class. 1 followed by the name of object is equal to new and 1. Now this is how we create an object. We had seen it in earlier videos. Now you must be familiar with how an object is created. Now this OB is an object of this class 1. So let me now ask the name of this OB. So can I access name with reference to the object? So as I made changes, let me save the program again. Let us see the output. Compile the program and then run it. You see that it still gives you the output. That shows you the rule number 2, that any static variable can be accessed in 2 ways. Number 1, either with reference to the class name, or another one is either with reference to the object name. Let me show you another very beautiful point with respect to the static variable. Let us see the creation of another object. Now, 1 OB2 is equal to 1. Now that I have got 2 objects ready, let me just find out the value of name with respect to OB as well as OB2. What does it show? Let me run it. Compile the program, run it, and you will see that in both the ways it is showing as 1, because it must be. It is a class variable, so its instance is 1. So this one variable exists only once, and any object of this particular class will access to this variable. It is just like accessing a global variable. For example, I show you through a diagram. Suppose I have created this class. The class name was 1, and this class has 2 objects, one OB and another OB2. Any other object can be created here. So in this memory, where this name keyword with this name variable is there, so this name variable exists outside of all objects. So there is a space that is reserved outside all the objects, and any value that you store will be stored inside this. So this memory area, because it is common to all the objects, so this is shared by every object. So that's why once I access ob.name, or either I access ob2.name, in both ways they are accessing the value of this shared memory. So all the static variables, they are called as global to all objects. Few programmers, they call it as a shared variable. So in both ways you can call them as shared variable, shared among all objects. So in case if any object tries to change the value of this shared memory area, so it will be reflected through another object too. Suppose here, if I change this value here, by writing ob.name is equal to 2. Suppose if I do it, so this object has tried to change this shared memory area and it has written 2 here. So what in fact, after doing it, I will try to access the value of ob.name. It will give you the updated value. So that is again a rule, or it conforms to the rule that this memory area is shared. Hope you have understood static very good. Let us explain a static function in the next video in the same way. Till then, bye bye.